Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We apologize for the technical difficulties. Even in the 21st century, technology doesn't always work. But now, we invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy as the Grizzly Radio Theater tonight proudly presents a dramatization of Lewis Carroll's classic, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland.
Alice in Wonderland, a fairy story of the 19th century. A bit of gossamer flimsy, a fantasy for children.
Alice, a fairy story peopled with human beings and animals that talk like humans. Do they mirror people who act like animals? I do not know. Lewis Carroll merely wrote a simple story about a little girl for a little girl. Half the world has, for 72 years, called it childish nonsense. The other half? Significant social satire. To me, it has always been simply Alice's Adventures in Wonderland.
Alice in Wonderland.
Alice, don't fidget so. I beg your pardon, sister, but it is so very dull today. Isn't it tea time yet?
Not quite. We'll go into tea when I finish the chapter I'm reading. Why don't you go pick some daisies?
Oh, it's so dreadfully hot to pick daisies. Sister, look, down there in the grass, a white rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
Sister, he has a waistcoat on. And look, he's taking a watch out of it.
Oh, Alice, what nonsense.
Oh dear, I shall be late.
Sister, did you hear that?
Hear what?
The rabbit. He looked at his watch, and then he spoke.
Oh, Alice, your imagination. Alice, come back here. Where are you going?
I've got to see the rabbit again, sister. Oh dear, he just popped into that hole under the hedge. But it's such a very large rabbit hole. Perhaps I could squeeze through. Oh, there, I can still see him. He's down at the end. Oh, I must hurry. I must. Oh, I'm falling. I'm falling.
Falling down what seems to be a very deep well.
Either the well was very deep, or she fell very slowly, for she had plenty of time.
way. Stop this moment, I tell you.
But she went on just the same, shedding gallons of tears, until there was a large puddle around her, about 4 inches deep and reaching halfway down the hall. After a time, she heard a little pattering of feet in the distance, and she hastily dried her eyes as the white rabbit returned, this time splendidly dressed, with a pair of white kid gloves in one hand and a large fan in the other. He came trotting along in a great hurry, muttering to himself as he came.
Oh, the Duchess, oh, won't she be savage if I've kept her waiting?
If you please, sir.
Oh, my ears and whiskers.
Stop! You've dropped your gloves and your fan.
Oh, my ears and whiskers, oh.
And the white rabbit was gone. Alice took up the fan and gloves, and, as the hall was very hot, she started to fan herself.
Gracious! I must be growing small again. I am. Now I'm only 2 feet high. I shall go out altogether. It must be the fan. Oh, that was a narrow escape. If I hadn't dropped that fan, it would have been the end of me. Oh, but now I'm small enough to get through the door.
And Alice finds herself up to her chin in salt water, swimming around in the pool of tears that she had wept when she was 9 feet high.
Oh, I wish I hadn't cried so much. I shall be punished for it now, I suppose, by being drowned in my own tears. That will be a strange thing, to be sure. However, everything is strange today. Oh, what a fearful racket. It must at least be a walrus or a hippopotamus. Oh no, I've forgotten how small I've grown. Oh, it's only a mouse. Oh, but it is bigger than I am. Oh, mouse, do you know the way out of this pool? I'm very tired of swimming about here. Oh, mouse? Oh, perhaps it doesn't understand English. I dare say it's a French mouse, come over with William the Conqueror. Où est ma chat?
First sentence in Alice's French book. Translation, where's my cat? The mouse doesn't like the reference in English or in French.
Oh, I beg your pardon. I quite forgot you didn't like cats.
Not like cats? Well, would you like cats if you were me?
Well, perhaps not. But I do wish I could show you our cat, Dinah. She's such a capital one for catching mice. Oh, I do beg your pardon. We won't talk about her anymore if you'd rather not.
We indeed. As if I would talk on such a subject. Our family always hated cats. Low, vulgar things. Don't let me ever hear the name again.
I won't indeed. I promise.
Well, very well then. Let us go to shore. And I'll tell you my history. And you'll understand it is why I hate cats.
It was high time to go, for the pool was getting quite crowded with the birds and animals that had fallen into it. There were a duck and a dodo, a lory and an eaglet, and several other curious creatures. Alice led the way, and the whole party swam ashore.
They are indeed a strange-looking party as they assemble on the bank. The birds with draggled feathers, the animals with their fur clinging closely to them, and all dripping wet and cross and uncomfortable. The first question, of course, is how to get dry again, and an argument ensues, which the dodo, who seems to be a person of some authority, finally ends.
What is a caucus race?
The only way to show you is to, do it.
And, as you might like to try the thing yourself some winter day, I will tell you how the dodo managed it. First, it marked out a race course in a sort of circle,
Though it said the exact shape didn't matter.
And then, everybody was placed along the course, here and there. There was no 1, 2, 3 and away, but they began running when they liked and left off when they liked, so that it was not easy to know when the race was over. However, when they had been running half an hour or so, the dodo suddenly called out,
The race is over!
But who has won?
Just a minute, let me think. Everybody has won and all must have prizes.
Prizes? But who is to give the prizes?
She, of course.
Me?
Yes, you.
Alice had no idea what to do, and in despair, she put her hand in her pocket and pulled out a box of candy
Lucky the salt water had not got into it.
and handed them around as prizes. There was exactly one apiece all around.
But she must have a prize for herself, you know?
Of course. What else have you got in your pocket, little girl?
Only a thimble.
Hand it over here.
There you go.
Thank you. We beg your acceptance of this, elegant thimble. And now, while we eat our prizes...
I can't eat mine. It's a thimble.
You're lucky.
Oh, mine's too big. Oh, I'm choking.
Here, some of you. Pat his back. Pat his back.
Squeak, squeak, squeak. Oh, thank you. Thank you there. That's better.
I can taste it's too small. I'm sorry. It's the best that I could do. Oh, Mouse. You promised, you know.
Promised? Promised what?
To tell me your history and why you hate... You know what?
Oh, mine is a long, sad tale. Oh, woe is me.
I can see that it's a long tale, oh Mouse, but why is it sad?
You insult me by talking such nonsense.
Oh, I really meant nothing, but you're so easily offended, you know.
I'm afraid, I'm very much afraid, that you are a waste of time.
Oh, please come back and tell us your story.
What a pity he wouldn't say.
Oh, I wish our Dinah was here. She'd soon fetch it back.
And who is Dinah, if I might venture to ask the question?
Dinah's our cat, and she's a capital one for catching mice. And oh, I wish you could see her after the birds. Why, she'd eat a little bird as soon as I look at it, and... Oh, I wish I hadn't mentioned Dinah. Nobody seems to like her down here, and I'm sure she's the best cat in the world. Oh, my poor Dinah. I wonder if I shall get to see you anymore. There's no sort of use in crying about it. I shall never get out of here unless I set about growing to my right size again. But the great question is how?
Suddenly, Alice noticed a large mushroom growing near her, about the same height as herself, and on top of it, a large blue caterpillar was sitting with his arms folded, quietly smoking a long hookah. The caterpillar took his languid time about noticing Alice.
And, who are you?
I hardly know, sir, just at present. At least I know who I was when I got up this morning.
By that, explain yourself.
I can't explain myself, I'm afraid, sir, because I'm not myself. You see?
Go on.
I'm afraid I can't put it more clearly, for I can't understand it myself to begin with, and being so many different sizes in a day is very confusing.
Doesn't.
If you change as much as I have today, you'd feel a little strange too.
Not a bit.
Well, perhaps your feelings are different, but it all feels very strange to me.
You? Well, who are you?
I think you ought to tell me who you are first.
Why?
Ugh, I'm afraid we're not getting anywhere at all.
Come back here. I've something important to say.
Well, what is it?
Keep your temper.
Is that all?
Yes. Good day to you, my dear.
But...
One side will make you grow taller. The other side will make you grow shorter.
One side of what?
Of the mushroom!
Now, how can he tell which are the two sides of the mushroom when it's perfectly round? Oh, maybe if I stretch my arms as round as far as they can go, break off a bit of the edge with each hand. Oh, there! And now, which is which? I guess I'll try the right hand piece first. Oh, I'm getting smaller so quick, my chin hit my foot. I have to eat some of the left hand piece right away. Oh, it's so hard to get my mouth open. Oh, there! Oh, come, my head's free at last.
As she grew larger, she saw across the top of the mushroom a little house about 4 feet high.
I can never visit that lovely place if I grow to my full size, so I'd better stop here.
She is nibbling a little on the right-hand piece. Now, a quick nibble on the left-hand piece. She's now established at 9 inches.
As she approached the house, a fish, dressed in a footman's livery, came running out of the woods and rapped loudly on the door. It was opened by another footman in livery, who was really a frog. Alice crept behind a bush to listen as the fish footman presented a great letter nearly as large as himself.
For the Duchess, an invitation from the Queen to play croquet.
From the Queen, an invitation for the Duchess to play croquet.
They both bowed, and the curls of their white wigs got entangled together. Alice laughed so much at this that she had to run back into the woods for fear of their hearing her, and when she peeped out, the fish footman was gone, and the frog footman was sitting on the ground near the door, staring stupidly up to the sky. Alice went up to the door and knocked.
You see, there's no sort of use in knocking, and that for 2 reasons. First, because I'm on the same side of the door as you are, and second, because I'm making so much noise inside that no one could possibly hear you.
Please then, how am I to get inside?
Well, there might be some sense in your knocking if we had the door between us. For instance, if you were inside, you might knock, and I might let you out. You know.
But how am I to get in?
Well, I shall sit here tomorrow. Or the next day. Maybe.
But how am I to get in?
Are you to get in at all? You see, that's the first question. You know.
It's really dreadful the way all you creatures argue. It's enough to drive one crazy.
Oh. Well then, I shall sit here, on and off, for days and days.
But what have I to do?
Well, anything you like.
Then I'll go in anyway.
The door leads into a large kitchen. It is full of smoke. The Duchess is sitting on a 3-legged stool nursing a baby. The cook is stirring a cauldron of soup, and he throws pepper into it by the shakeful. A large cat is lying on the hearth, grinning from ear to ear. He doesn't sneeze. Neither does the cook. But everyone else does.
Please, would you tell me why your cat grins like that?
It's a Cheshire cat, and that's why. Pig!
Were you speaking to me?
No, I was speaking to this brat.
Oh.
Take that! And that! And that!
Oh, be careful! What are you throwing the pots and the pans at the baby for?
That happens every afternoon at 4 o'clock.
Oh, please mind what you're throwing, Cook. Be careful. Don't. Oh! Oh! There goes his precious little nose.
Speak roughly to your little boy. Achoo! And beat him when he sneezes. He only does it to annoy her. Achoo! Because he knows it teases. Wow. Here, you may nurse it for a bit if you like. Catch!
Oh! Please, I nearly dropped it.
I must go and get ready to play croquet with the queen.
Take that, you toad! Missed her again. Ugh.
If I don't take this child away with me, they're sure to kill it in a day or two. It would really be committing murder to leave it behind. Oh, don't squeal, my dear. That's not at all the proper way of expressing yourself. If you're going to turn into a pig, my dear, I'll have nothing more to do with you. Mind now. Oh, now what am I going to do when I get this creature home? I guess there'll be no taking you home. You'll be happier out there in the woods. Run on. If it had grown up, it would have made a dreadfully ugly child. But it makes a rather handsome pig, I think.
And she began thinking over other children she knew who might do very well as pigs, when she was a little startled to see the Cheshire cat sitting in the bough of a tree a few yards off.
Hello, Cheshire Puss.
Meow.
Would you please tell me which way I ought to go from here?
That depends a good deal upon where you want to get to.
Oh, I don't care where.
Oh, then it doesn't matter which way you go.
Well, what sort of people live round here?
That direction lives a hatter, that direction lives a March hare. Visit either, both are mad.
Oh, but I don't want to go among mad people.
Oh, you can't help that. We're all mad here. I'm mad. You're mad.
How do you know that I'm mad?
You must be, or you wouldn't have come here. Do you play croquet with the queen today?
I should like it very much, but I haven't been invited yet.
You'll see me there. Yeah.
Oh, well, she's disappeared into thin air. Oh, no, here she comes back.
Meow. By the by, what happened to the baby? I nearly forgot to ask.
It turned into a pig.
I always thought it would. Meow.
I wonder if she's disappeared for good now. Well, who shall I go to visit? I've seen hatters before, so I imagine the March hare will be the most interesting. And since this is May, it won't be raving mad. At least not so mad as it was in March.
Meow. Did you say pig or fig?
I said pig.
All right.
This time, it vanished quite slowly, beginning with the end of the tail and ending with the grin, which remained some time after the rest of it had gone.
And so ends the first half of Grizzly Radio Theater's dramatization of Alice in Wonderland. And now please enjoy a little bit of intermission. And now, Grizzly Radio Theater offers the second part of Lewis Carroll's immortal classic, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland.
It all started with Alice's curiosity about a white rabbit who hopped by as she and her sister sat by the bank of a stream.
Oh dear, I shall be late.
Before she knew it, Alice was falling down what seemed to be a deep well, at the bottom of which, among other curious creatures, she met a mouse.
Mine is a long, sad tale. Oh, woe is me.
And a caterpillar.
Your temper.
Outside, a little house in the middle of a wood, she encountered a frog dressed in the livery of a footman.
Oh. Well then, I shall sit here, on and off, for days and days.
And, inside the little house, a sneezing baby, a cook, and a very ugly duchess.
Speak roughly to your little boy and beat him when he sneezes.
She had rescued the sneezing baby from the fury of the cook, only to have the baby turn into a pig. And, a moment later, a Cheshire cat had faded into existence on a limb above her.
Meow, that direction lives a hatter, that direction lives a March hare. Visit either, both are mad. Meow.
She had not gone much farther before she came upon the house of the March hare.
She's sure it's the right house because the chimneys are shaped like ears and the roof is thatched with fur.
There was a table set out under a tree in front of the house, and the March hare and the hatter were having tea at it.
A dormouse is sitting between them, fast asleep. The March hare and the hatter are using him as a cushion and resting their elbows on him. They aren't at all anxious to have Alice's company.
No room!
No room!
No room!
No room!
No room!
No room! There's plenty of room, and I'm going to sit down. There.
Have some wine.
I don't see any wine, March hare.
There isn't any.
Then it wasn't very civil of you to offer it.
Well, it wasn't very civil of you to sit down without being invited.
I didn't know it was your table. It's laid for a great many more than 3.
Ugh, your hair wants cutting.
Oh! You should learn not to make personal remarks, Hatter. It's very rude.
Then why is a raven like a writing desk?
Oh, I'm glad you're going to ask riddles. That'd be fun. But I believe I can guess that one.
Do you mean that you think you can find out the answer to it?
Exactly so.
Then you should say what you mean.
I do. At least, I mean what I say. That's the same thing, you know.
Oh, no, not the same thing a bit. Why, you might just as well say that I see what I eat is the same thing as I eat what I see.
You might just as well say that I like what I get as the same thing as I get what I like.
You might just as well say that I breathe when I sleep is the same thing as I sleep when I breathe.
But it is the same thing for you, Dormouse.
Oh, I must answer that riddle before they forget it. Now, let me see. Why is a raven like a writing desk? A raven, writing desk, raven, write...
What day of the month is it?
The 4th.
Oh, so this watch is 2 days wrong. I told you butter wouldn't suit the works.
It was the very best butter.
Yes, but some crumbs must have gotten as well. You shouldn't have put it in with the bread knife.
But it was the best butter. Let me dip it in the tea. It might wash the crumbs out.
Oh, what a funny watch. It tells the day of the month and doesn't tell what o'clock it is.
Then why should it? Does your watch tell you what year it is?
Of course not. But that's because it stays the same year for such a long time together.
Which is just the case with mine.
I don't quite understand you.
The Dormouse is asleep again!
Oh no, I heard everything you fellows said.
Have you guessed the riddle yet?
No, I give up. What's the answer?
I haven't the slightest idea.
Nor I.
I think you might do something better with the time than wasting it in asking riddles that have no answers.
Oh, if you knew time as well as I do, you wouldn't talk about wasting it. It's a hymn.
I don't know what you mean.
Of course you don't. I dare say you never even spoke to time.
Perhaps not, but I know I have to beat time when I learn music.
And that's exactly what accounts for it. You won't stand a beating. I would know. He and I quarreled last March, just before he, the March Hare, went mad, you know. It was at a great concert given by the Queen of Hearts, and I had to sing. Twinkle, twinkle, little bat, how I wonder what you're at. You know the song, perhaps?
I've heard something like it.
It goes on, you know, in this way. Up above the world you fly, like a tea tray in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little bat.
Twinkle, 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 twinkle.
Shh! Be quiet, dormouse!
Ouch! Stop pinching me!
Well, I'd hardly finished the first verse when the Queen bawled out, "He's murdering the time! Off with his head!"
How dreadfully savage.
And ever since that, he won't do a thing I ask. And it's always 6 o'clock now.
Is that the reason so many tea things are put out here?
Yes, that's it. It's always tea time, and we have no time to wash the things between the whiles.
Then you keep moving round, I suppose, from one seat to the next?
Exactly so, as the things get used up.
But what happens when you come to the beginning again?
Oh, take some more tea.
I've had nothing yet, so I can't take more.
You mean you can take less? And it's very easy to take more than nothing.
Nobody asked your opinion.
Oh, and who's making personal remarks now?
Oh, you!
I want a clean cup. Let's move up one place.
But then you're the only one who gets a clean place. And I have to sit where the March Hare sat, and he's upset the milk jug into his plate.
We only move one seat over.
And if you don't like that...
You don't have to drink the tea you haven't yet had.
This piece of rudeness was more than Alice could bear. She got up in great disgust and walked off. The Dormouse fell asleep instantly, and neither of the others took the least notice of her going.
For they are now trying to shove the Dormouse into the teapot.
As Alice wandered on through the wood, she came suddenly upon a tree with a little door leading right into it. She was not in the least surprised, for she had come to expect anything in Wonderland. So she quickly opened the door and entered, to find herself at last among the bright flower beds and the cool fountains of a beautiful garden.
The one she had first seen through the little door in the hall.
She scarcely had time to look about her when she heard the sounds of a procession approaching. It was the royal entourage of the King and Queen of Hearts, accompanied by their guests, the kings and queens of diamonds, spades, and clubs, with their soldiers and courtiers. When the procession came opposite to Alice, it stopped, and everybody looked at her as the Queen of Hearts spoke.
Who is this? How did she get in here? Speak, child, what is your name?
My name is Alice, so please, your majesty.
Alice?
What a curious name.
Why, they're only a pack of cards after all. I needn't be afraid of them.
She has no business being Alice. Off with her head! Off with her!
Nonsense!
Oh, consider, my dear consort. She's only a child.
She has a head, King.
Okay, my dear consort.
Mind your own.
Oh. Okay, my dear.
On with the procession. For the present, child, you may keep your head.
That's dreadfully kind of you.
The procession continued to the fountains in the center of the garden, while Alice looked about her, vainly, for some way of escape. But the Queen kept constantly by her side.
Have you seen the Mock Turtle yet?
No. I don't even know what a mock turtle is.
It's the thing mock turtle soup is made from.
I never saw one or heard of one.
Come on then, and he shall tell you his story.
After a little walk, the Queen and Alice came upon a griffin lying fast asleep in the sun.
If you don't know what a griffin is, there's very little use in telling you, for you wouldn't believe it anyway. He is sort of half lion, half eagle, half... I knew you wouldn't believe it.
Up, lazy thing, and take this young lady to see the mock turtle and to hear his story. I must go back and see after some executions I have ordered.
What fun!
What is the fun?
Why, it's all a fancy that. They never execute nobody, you know? Come on.
They had not gone far before they saw the mock turtle in the distance, sitting sad and lonely on a little ledge of rock. And, as they came nearer, Alice could hear him sighing as if his heart would break. She pitied him deeply.
Oh, what is his sorrow?
It's all his fancy that. He hasn't got no sorrow, you know. This here young lady, she wants for to know your history, she do.
I'll tell her. Sit down, both of you, and don't speak a word till I've finished.
I don't see how he can ever finish if he doesn't begin.
Once I was a real turtle. When we were little, we went to school in the sea. The master was an old turtle. We used to call him Tortoise.
Why did you call him Tortoise if he was a turtle?
We called him Tortoise because he taught us. Really, you're very dull.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself for asking such a simple question. Drive on, old fellow. Don't be all day about it.
Yes, yes. We went to school in the sea. Though you mayn't believe it.
I never said I didn't.
You did?
Hold your tongue, little girl.
Yes. We had the best of educations. In fact, we went to school every day.
I've been to day school too. What did you study?
Reeling and writhing, of course, to begin with. And then the different branches of arithmetic. Ambition, distraction, uglification, and derision.
And what else had you to learn?
Well, there was mystery. Mystery, ancient and modern, with seography. Then drawling. The drawling master was an old conger eel that used to come once a week. He taught us drawling, stretching, and fainting in coils.
What was that like?
Well, I can't show it to you myself. I'm too stiff, and the griffin never learnt it.
Hadn't time. I went to the classical master, though. What no crab he was.
I never went to him. He taught laughing and grief, they used to say.
So he did. So he did.
And how many hours a day did you do lessons?
10 hours the first day, 9 hours the next, and so on.
What a curious plan.
That's the reason they're called lessons, because they lesson from day to day.
Then the 11th day must have been a holiday.
Of course it was.
And how did you manage on the 12th?
That's enough about lessons. Tell us something about the games now.
Huh? Oh. Must I really?
Yes, you must.
Oh, all right. You may not have lived much under the sea.
Oh, I haven't.
And perhaps you were never even introduced to a lobster.
I once tasted no, never, never.
So you can have no idea what a delightful thing a lobster quadrille is.
No, indeed. What sort of a dance is it?
Why, you first form into a line along the seashore.
2 lines. Seals, turtles, salmon, and so on. Then, When you've cleared all of the jellyfish out of the way,
That generally takes some time.
you advance twice.
Each with a lobster as a partner.
Of course, advance twice, set to partners.
Change lobsters and retire in the same order.
Then, you throw
The lobsters
as far out to sea as you can.
swim after them.
Turn a somersault in the sea.
Change lobsters again.
Back to land again, and that's all there is to the first figure.
Oh, it must be a very pretty dance.
Yes. Would you like to see a little of it?
Oh, very much indeed.
Oh. Come. Let's try the first figure, Griffin. We can do it without the lobsters, you know. Which shall sing?
You sing. I've forgotten the words.
So they began solemnly dancing around and round Alice, every now and then treading on her toes when they passed too close, and waving their forepaws to mark the time while the Mock Turtle sang.
You walk a little faster, said a whiting to a snail. There's a porpoise close behind us, and he's treading on my tail. See how eagerly the lobsters and the turtles all advance. They are waiting on the shingle. Will you come and join the dance? Will you, won't you, will you, won't you, will you join the dance? Will you, won't you, will you, won't you, will you join the dance?
Oh, thank you. It's a very interesting dance to watch, and I do so like that curious song about the whiting. But if I'd been here, I'd have said to the porpoise, "Keep back, please. We don't want you with us."
They were obliged to have him with them. No wise fish would go anywhere without a porpoise.
Wouldn't it really?
Of course not. Why, if a fish came and told me he was going on a journey, I should say, with what porpoise?
Oh, don't you mean purpose?
I mean what I say.
Shall we try another figure of the lobster quadrille? Or would you like Mock Turtle to sing you another song?
Oh, a song, please. If the Mock Turtle would be so kind.
No accounting for tastes. Sing her turtle soup, will you, old fellow?
Soup so rich and green, waiting in a hot tureen. Who for such
Come on! It's time to go to the trial!
What trial?
Come on, come on!
And the Griffin grabbed Alice by the hand and hurried her off without waiting for the end of the Mock Turtle song. By the time Alice and the Griffin had arrived at the courtroom, a great crowd had assembled there, all sorts of little birds and beasts, as well as the whole pack of cards. The knave stood before the court in chains. The White Rabbit, dressed in the livery of a herald, was near the throne where the King and Queen of Hearts were sitting.
The king is also the judge, by the way, and as he is wearing his crown over his wig, he does not look at all comfortable, and it certainly isn't becoming.
In the very middle of the court, on a table, was a large dish of tarts. It made Alice hungry to look at them.
I wish they'd get the trial done and hand round the refreshments.
No chance of that. Them tarts is what the trial's all about.
Then what are the jurors writing on their slates for? They can't have anything to put down yet before the trial's even begun.
They're writing down their names for fear they shall forget them before the end of the trial.
Stupid things.
Stupid things.
Why, they're all writing stupid things on their slates. And look, several of them can't even spell it correctly.
Stupid things.
Stupid things. Silence in the court!
Harold? The accusation.
The Queen of Hearts, she made some tarts all on a summer's day. The Knave of Hearts, he stole those tarts and took them quite away.
Yes. Consider your verdict, jury.
No, not yet, Your Majesty. There's a great deal to come before that.
Oh, all right then. Call the first witness.
First witness, the Hatter, sometimes called Mad.
I beg your pardon, Your Majesty, for bringing my tea and bread and butter with me. But I hadn't quite finished when I was sent for, as the courtroom can see.
Well, you ought to have finished. When did you begin?
Oh, 14th of March, I think it was. My memory's a bit of a fuzz.
15th.
16th.
No, write that down.
14th.
No, it was 14th.
The jury is writing down all the dates on their slate.
14.
Now they add them up, and now they're reducing the answers to shillings and pence. only all the answers are different.
Just at this moment, Alice felt a very curious sensation, which she recognized at once. She was beginning to grow again. She decided, however, to remain in the courtroom as long as there was room for her. The dormouse, who was sitting next to her, objected at once.
I wish she wouldn't squeeze so. I can hardly breathe.
I can't help it. I'm growing.
You've got no right grow here.
Don't talk nonsense. You're growing too.
Yes, but I grow at a reasonable rate. Not in that ridiculous fashion.
The Hatter is so nervous under the gaze of the Queen that he shakes himself out of both his shoes, and in his confusion, he bites a large piece out of his teacup instead of his bread and butter.
Well, I'm a poor man, Your Majesty.
You're a very poor speaker. So, I may as well have you executed on the spot.
Execution. Well, I'd rather finish my tea.
Oh, yes, your tea. In that case, you may go.
Oh, yes, Your Majesty, thank you. I'm going now.
And just take his head off outside.
Oh, yes. His head. Call the next witness.
Alice!
What? Me?
Yes, you.
Well, what do you know about this business, eh?
Nothing.
Nothing whatever?
Nothing whatever.
No, that's very important.
Unimportant, Your Majesty means, of course.
Unimportant, of course I meant. Important, unimportant. Unimportant, yes.
Some of the jury writes important, and some unimportant, but it doesn't really matter.
Silence! I read from the rulebook. Rule 42. All persons more than a mile high will leave the court.
I'm not a mile high.
Oh, yes, you are.
Nearly 2 miles high.
See?
Well, I shan't go at any rate. Besides, that's not a regular rule. You invented it just now.
It's the oldest rule in the book.
Then it ought to be number 1.
Consider your verdict.
No, there's still more evidence to come yet, Your Majesty, please.
Oh.
This paper has just been picked up.
And what's in it?
I haven't opened it yet, but it seems to be a letter written by the prisoner to somebody.
Well, it must have been that. Unless it was written to nobody, which isn't at all usual, you know.
Huh. Who is it directed to?
It isn't directed at all, in fact. There's nothing written on the outside. It isn't a letter at all. It's a set of verses.
Are they in the prisoner's handwriting?
No, they are not.
Oh, he must have imitated somebody else's hand.
That proves his guilt. Go up with his head.
Yes.
It doesn't prove anything of the sort. Why, you don't even know what the verses are about.
Oh. You there. Read them.
Where shall I begin, Your Majesty, please?
Begin anywhere and stop, when you'd like.
They told me you had been to her and mentioned me to him. She gave me a good character, but said I could not swim. He sent the word that I had gone. We know that to be true. If she should put the matter on, what would become of you? I gave her 1, they gave him 2, they gave us 3 or more. They all returned from him to you that they were mine before. If I or she should chance to be involved in this affair, he trusts to you to set them free exactly as we were. My notion was that you had been, before she had this fit, an obstacle that came between him, ourselves, and it. Don't let him know she liked them best, for this must ever be a secret kept from all the rest between yourself and me. I think that's quite enough, Your Majesty.
Oh, that's the most important piece of evidence we've heard yet. Oh, so now let the jury consider...
I don't believe there's an atom of meaning in it.
Oh, if there's no meaning in it, Alice, that saves the world of trouble, you know, as we needn't try to find any. And yet, I don't know. I seem to find some meaning here. Said I could not swim. You can't swim, can you, Knave?
Do I look like it?
He certainly doesn't, being made entirely of cardboard.
Well, all right so far. Now continue. We know it to be true. No, that's the jury, of course. If she should push the matter on. Oh, that must be the queen. What would become of you? Yes, what indeed? I gave her one, they gave him two. Why, that must be what he did with the tots, you know?
But it goes on. They all return from him to you.
Well, well, well. There they are.
And so they are. The tarts are on the table.
Nothing can be clearer than that, eh? Oh, no. Then again, before she had this fit, you never had any fits, did you, dear?
Oh, never! Off with anybody's head!
Then the words don't fit you! That's a pun. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Well, now finally, let the jury consider the verdict.
No. Sentence first, verdict afterwards.
Stuff and nonsense. The idea of having the sentence first.
Hold your tongue.
I won't.
Off with her head.
But nobody moves. For Alice, who's now her full size and much too large for them to try to do anything about, stands up, dumping the jury and its occupants onto the courtroom floor.
Who cares for you? You're nothing but a pack of cards.
At this, the whole pack of cards rose up into the air and came flying down upon her.
Oh!
She gave little screams, half of fright, half of anger, and tried to beat them off. Then she found herself lying on the bank, with her head in the lap of her sister, who was gently brushing away some dead leaves that had fluttered down from the trees upon her face.
Wake up, Alice, dear. Boy, what a long sleep you've had.
Oh, sister, I've had such a curious dream all about a white rabbit and a mock turtle and a mad hatter and the Queen of Hearts and a whole pack of cards.
And so ends Grizzly Radio Theater's dramatization of Alice in Wonderland. We invite you back in 2 weeks when we present another literary masterwork, Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights.